Welcome to National Resource and Training Services. Today's class is on identity theft. My name is John Cook and I will be your instructor. How can someone steal my identity? Despite your best efforts to manage the flow of your personal information or to keep it to yourself, skilled identity thieves may use a variety of methods to gain access to your data. They get information from businesses or other institutions by stealing records or information while they're on the job, bribing employees who have access to the records, hacking the records, or conning information out of other employees. They may steal your mail, including bank and credit card statements, credit card offers, new checks, and tax information. They may rummage through your trash, the trash of businesses or public trash dumps, in a practice known as dumpster diving. They may get your credit reports by abusing their employer's authorized access to them, or by posing as a landlord, employer, or someone else who may have a legal right to access your report. They can also steal your credit or debit card numbers by capturing the information in a data storage device in a practice known as skimming. They may swipe your card for an actual purchase or attach the device to an ATM machine where you may enter or swipe your card. They may steal your wallet or purse. They may complete a change of address form to divert your mail to another location. They can also steal personal information they find in your home. They may steal personal information from you through email or phone by posing as legitimate companies and claiming that you have a problem with your account. This practice is known as phishing online or pretexting by phone. Stay alert for signs of identity theft, like failing to receive your bills or other mail. Follow up with creditors if your bills don't arrive on time. A missing bill could mean an identity thief has taken over your account and changed your billing address. Receiving credit cards that you didn't apply for. Being denied credit, or being offered less favorable credit terms like a higher interest rate for no apparent reason. Getting calls or letters from debt collectors or businesses about merchandise or services you didn't buy. Your credit reports show new credit accounts opened in your name. Some types of identity theft. Identity theft is the unlawful act of capturing, transferring, and or using one or more pieces of another person's personal identifying information, including but not limited to name, address, driver's license, date of birth, social security number, account information, account login credentials, or family identifiers, and using or attempting to use that information to establish or take over a credit, deposit, or other financial account in that person's name. Identity theft falls into two major categories: true name fraud, establishing or attempting to establish an account using another person's identity, and account takeover, establishing or attempting to establish control of an existing account or accounts without the authority of the account holder. Online fraud is done by phishing. Phishers use fraudulent emails or pop-up web pages that appear legitimate and are designed to deceive you into sharing personal or account information. And then farming. Farming occurs when you type in a web address and it redirects you to a fraudulent without your knowledge or consent. The website will try and look similar to the legitimate site in hoping of capturing your personal information. Offline fraud is where credit card fraud comes into play. Credit card fraud can occur when someone takes your card and uses it without your consent. It can also happen with your card sitting safely in your wallet. Phone solicitations are where scammers will attempt to randomly call people with hopes of luring them with cash, gifts, or other prizes in exchange for your personal or account information. Other types of offline fraud include print fraud. This is where scammers use local and community newspapers and fake advertisements with special rates and offers. When a client calls, they're asked for their information and for advance payments before the transaction is complete. Also, check scams. This is where scammers overpay for an item and ask the difference to be wired back. Most times the check was counterfeit or forged for higher amounts. In mail fraud, this occurs when scammers illegally intercept your mail, or when you receive unrealistic offers, or offers that you didn't ask for. If your financial data has been stolen, then you should contact your bank and your credit card company, and also the watchdog service that you can find at www.consumer.gov/ID theft. Another good source of information on ID theft can be found with the Federal Trade Commission. You can see on the slide here the URL for that site. FTC serves as a federal clearinghouse for complaints by victims of identity theft. Now, while the FTC does not resolve individual consumer problems, your complaint helps them to investigate fraud and can lead to law enforcement action. The FTC enters internet, telemarketing, identity theft, and other fraud-related complaints into the Consumer Sentinel, a secure online database available to hundreds of civil and criminal law enforcement agencies worldwide. It's a good idea to look at your credit report occasionally. You'll find a lot of information there that may throw up a red flag as to some identity theft taking place. The three main agencies are Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. Now, the Fair Credit Reporting Act allows you to ask for and receive one free credit report per year from each of these three consumer reporting agencies. Also, there are many apps out there that you can download now to keep track of your credit reports. Personally, I use Credit Karma, and I check that at least once a month just to see what's going on. Stolen Social Security numbers. You can place an initial fraud alert by calling one of the three nationwide consumer reporting agencies, which at the very first indication that you feel you've been the victim of ID theft, this is always the first thing you want to do besides notifying your bank and credit card company. You want to place an initial fraud alert, and you do that by calling one of the three consumer reporting agencies. Another good thing to do is report these things to clearinghouses of information that help law enforcement and other agencies fight ID theft. Consumer Sentinel is one. You see the URL on the screen. At Consumer Sentinel, you can see how law enforcement all over the world are working together to fight fraud. Consumer Sentinel is an innovative international law enforcement fraud fighting program, and there's a ton of information there that you can get. Now, there are going to be times when you need to file an identity theft report. An identity theft report may have two parts to it. Part one is a copy of a report filed with your local, state, or federal law enforcement agency, like your local police department, your state attorney general, the FBI, the U.S. Secret Service, the FTC, and the U.S. Postal Inspection Service. There is no federal law requiring a federal agency to take a report about identity theft. However, some state laws require local police departments to take reports. When you file a report, provide as much information as you can about the crime, including anything you know about the dates of the identity theft, the fraudulent accounts opened, and the alleged identity thief, if you have any information to that. Part 2 of an identity theft report depends on the policies of the consumer reporting company and the information provider, the business that sent the information to the consumer reporting company. That is, they may ask you to provide information or documentation in addition to that included in the law enforcement report, which is reasonably intended to verify your identity theft. They must make their request within 15 days of receiving your law enforcement report, or if you already obtained an extended fraud alert on your credit report, the date you submit your request to the credit reporting company for information blocking. The consumer reporting company and information provider then have 15 more days to work with you to make sure your theft report contains everything they need. They are entitled to take 5 days to review any information you give them. For example, if you give them information 11 days after they request it, they do not have to make a final decision until 16 days after they asked you for that information. If you give them any information after the 15-day deadline, they can reject your identity theft report as incomplete. You'll then have to resubmit your report with the correct information. Now, what is a fraud alert? There are 2 types: the initial alert and an extended alert. An initial alert stays on your credit report for at least 90 days. You may ask that an initial fraud alert be placed on your credit report if you suspect or have been or are about to be a victim of identity theft. An initial alert is appropriate if your wallet's been stolen or if you've been taken in by a phishing scam. When you place an initial fraud alert on your credit report, you're entitled to 1 free credit report from each of the 3 nationwide consumer reporting agencies. There's also an extended alert. An extended alert stays on your credit report for 7 years. You can have an extended alert placed on your credit report if you've been a victim of identity theft and you provide the consumer reporting company with an identity theft report. When you place an extended alert on your credit report, you're entitled to 2 free credit reports within 12 months from each of the 3 nationwide consumer reporting companies. In addition, the consumer reporting companies will remove your name from marketing lists for pre-screened credit offers for 5 years, unless you ask them to put your name back on the list before that time expires. Let's talk about some of the effects of identity theft. Once they have your personal information, they can use it in a variety of ways. They can call your credit card insurer to change the billing address on your credit card account. The imposter then runs up charges on your account because your bills are being sent to a different address. It may be some time before you realize there's a problem. They may open up new credit card accounts in your name. When they use the credit cards and don't pay the bills, the delinquent counts are then reported on your credit report. They can establish phone or wireless service in your name. They can also open up a bank account in your name and then turn around and start writing bad checks on that account. They can counterfeit checks or credit or debit cards, or authorize electronic transfers in your name and drain your bank account. They may file for bankruptcy under your name to avoid paying the debts that they've incurred under your name, or to avoid eviction. They can buy a car by taking out a loan in your name. They may get identification such as driver's license and other types of ID issued with their picture in your name. They can get a job or file fraudulent tax returns in your name. They can also give your name to the police during an arrest. If they don't show up for court date, a warrant for arrest is issued in your name. This actually happened with a client that I was working for about a year ago, and my client had been arrested and warrants issued on him due to things that happened where someone had given his name fraudulently during an arrest. And at the time they were arrested, they actually had identification on them showing my client's name. So he had been the victim of an identity thief and had no clue that it had been going on for close to 6 months. Let's talk about how phishing scams work. Phishing scams can take many forms, but they usually start with an email, an instant message, or a pop-up window asking you to update your personal information. One of the following usually accompanies the request: some type of threat or warning that failure to update your information will result in the closure of an account or cancellation of a subscription. We've all seen these type of emails. An offer of a prize or some other form of financial compensation. A note that you have received pictures or an instant greeting. Confirmation of an online purchase. There are ways, however, that you can avoid these type scams. Be suspicious of any email or message containing an urgent request for your personal information. Even if you think a request for information may be legitimate, don't click the link in the email. Just go to the website. Let's say it's an email from eBay. Go to your eBay account and check it there. Be very careful if you share personal or financial information online. If you submit information to a website, make sure that the site is secure. They usually contain a security certificate. Review credit card and other account statements regularly. Rather than just tossing these in the trash, look at them, see what's on there. Also, it's a good idea to shred them or tear them up at least before you throw them in the trash can. Remember, there are people out there that are going through the garbage. Some common email scams are the ultimate online pharmaceutical. How smart are you? You're always seeing these free IQ tests. Fuller, plumper lips. September savings at Sam's Club. Over 40, what's your real age? Take the quiz. Meet and chat with singles in your area. $1 shipping. Coffee maker, travel mug, and 2 pounds of coffee. This is big news for the market. Just about anything you can think of is being used in an email scam these days. I recently got a very legitimate email from PayPal, and had the PayPal logos. Everything looked really legitimate, and it was a scare tactic indicating that my account had been compromised and I needed to verify some of my information. Had a link for me to click on. Well, there's no way I would click on that link. Rather than do that, I reported the email to PayPal and to the reporting agencies, and then I went to my PayPal account and logged in just to check to find out if there were any problems. So anytime you get a notice like that by email, just go to that website or that account, open it up. If there's a problem, you'll be notified there. Another thing to think about is when you're setting up passwords. I mean, this day and time, every app that we use, every online link that we use, we have passwords for just about everything. Some good things to keep in mind when you're setting up a password is don't use maiden names. Don't use your kids' names. Don't use your birth date or the last 4 digits of your social security number or your nickname or your favorite sports stars. These are all things that are information that other people may have or a hacker will use to try and guess your passwords. And trust me, there's some pretty smart people out there that the more they know about you, the easier they can crack that password you've set up. So try to make your password something that's difficult and would be hard to guess. Keep in mind, you're your own best protection against ID theft. Just do things like monitor your bank statements, monitor your credit card statements, and check your credit report at least annually to see if things are popping up on there that you don't recognize. With all the credit reporting apps that are out there and available today, there's really no reason you can't check your credit report at least once a month. And that would help keep you on top of things. Now, once someone's identity has been stolen and used fraudulently, it can be time consuming and just difficult, mind numbing to get it all straightened out. So a lot of times they'll turn to a private investigator to help out with this. So the more knowledge you have in this area, the better. You can provide background checks to your client. You can also take this class and do it as a seminar. Go to civic groups and so forth and provide this as a free seminar. Not only is it a benefit to the community, but it'll help promote you as a private investigator and your business. You can help locate persons of interest, people that they feel like may be responsible for this or that need to locate. You can also just simply walk your client through the process. Use the information that you've learned here today and walk your client through the process of reporting and properly filing all the paperwork that they need to do to report their identity as being stolen. This has been a class on identity theft by National Resource and Training Services, NRTS.online. You'll now be given a short exam. Just click on the link to the right, and when you finish this exam, we will get the results and they will be transferred to the state agency that oversees your licensing. Once again, thank you for attending NRTS.online.